Hey, I just came back from a tournament, and that's why there haven't been many videos recently, but either way, we're here to cover the tournament games, and let's get it on. So, this game was game one of the tournament, and I was playing a player with a provisional rating of 1500, so this was like their second tournament, and they had did pretty well, their last one, and I was trying to figure out what their actual skill level was before the game, and I basically thought it was like slightly less than me. I thought I was probably a bit better than him, and so before the game, I already had some confidence going up, and I already knew what I was gonna do. So we go d4, and my opponent comes with d5. The main move. I play bishop f4, of course. Knight f6. I go e3. My opponent goes bishop f5, and I go with this move c4, which is all just mainline theory. This is all the just theory that I know. My opponent plays e6. I go knight c3. My opponent plays c5, and now I have a decision to make. The first thing that I was thinking of is, what about this move, queen a4? Right? Queen a4 is a check on the king. I have to always look at the checks. And after the move knight c6, I didn't really think I was doing anything. So then I thought, okay, what about to make queen a4 work? I take with the bishop on b8 first, then rook takes. I come here, I get a fork on a7, right? And I'd be winning a pawn there. And that'd be good, right? But then I thought, okay, well, if bishop takes b8, he can take back with the queen, and I don't really know what I'm doing there after the move queen a4. I didn't really think that there was much going on after queen a4. So I ended up rejecting the line, and I played normally, but what's funny is that bishop b8 is actually the top engine line, and after queen b8, I actually get like a +1 advantage after here, and I just didn't realize that I could just give him an IQP here. Like, let's say takes, I already have like checks. I have like bishop b5 here, just makes the king move, and then I'm already just doing incredibly well. And I'm actually just winning a pawn here after that. So the best way to play is actually just rook b8, and then I just at least pick up this fork, which I thought was decent. Actually, here he'd have some play with the knight, so I have to take on CD. So I have to take on CD and win that pawn instead. But either way, that would have been great. I kind of rejected the line. In retrospect, I really should have played it. I really should have like realized that I was at least giving him an IQP, and I should be much better. But for some reason, I rejected the line. Either way, I go knight f3. Very simple, symmetrical. My opponent goes knight c6, keeping everything literally the same. Everything is very, very similar, and I tried to break the symmetry here. I realized that my opponent might be playing for a draw, and I really, really don't want to draw, because I just came to the tournament to win. I didn't come to the tournament to like make a draw and like leave. So I came to the tournament to win, and I ended up playing this move queen a4, which is a bit interesting. The idea is that primarily I'm putting my queen here. I'm gonna play like CD. If knight takes, I'll take back with a knight. Pawn takes, and I might have this move knight e5 at some point. And I also get my bishop in, and I thought that I was doing quite well. So I thought queen a4 is a very decent move. There's also queen b3, which is very natural here. Queen b3 makes a lot of sense. I wasn't convinced with queen b3 because I thought that he could just mirror me again, and I didn't really. I still really didn't want to get into a simplified position like symmetrical. And I mean, I probably have to take here and get into this position. Is this good for me? Maybe, maybe not. I really don't know. So I didn't go for this, and instead I went for queen a4. And my opponent found a very nice move. My opponent found the move queen b6 here, and that honestly kind of confused me. This is a great move. Queen b6 like totally threw me off. The reason is because like if I just continue going by playing like knight e5 or something, then of course he picks up the fork on b2 with these two pieces, and I'd be lost. So I can't allow that. So I have to come back and defend the pawn at the very least. And the best way to do that is with a move that's actually a blind spot for me. I always miss these types of moves. I miss the long castles here. long castles would have been very nice. If I played long castles, I probably would have just won the game. But I always miss these types of moves where we just like castle into where his pieces are, and I don't know. I thought it was kind of dangerous. I didn't even consider this move, in all honesty. I have to start considering these moves because I mean I'm trying to get to a higher ranking and I need to get better, right? So I missed that, but I thought I found a very nice move instead. I found this move Queen B5 here, which I played during the game. And Queen B5, basically I'm saying if takes, I'm putting my knight on B5, and my knight is gorgeous. I'm trying to fork him. He probably will have to get into a slightly subpar position, and I should just be slightly better in all positions. And also, it's kind of an interesting type of move. Queen B5, basically, you know those moves where you move a rook up into a file, but you don't take the rook, like if two rooks are here and here and they're like staring at each other, and you move the rook like here, for example. I know this is really weird because you have all these pieces here, but like imagine they're not there and I have like a pawn here, and if the rook takes, basically what happens, you get like a knight here or something, and then that's better. That's like a collinear move, is I believe what it's called. But yeah, this is kind of like a collinear move, except it's done with a queen instead of a rook, which is a little strange, a little less seen. But my opponent ends up thinking for a while. He thought for like 10 minutes here, and he played the move bishop e7 after some thought. And I was thinking for a while here too. I was trying to figure out everything, like if I should take here, I should take here, if I should play the move a4 in some lines, if I should like play rook c1. And I was also really considering this move, knight h4, to try and grab the bishop. Knight h4 would have lost a pawn in the center, which I didn't really like, but maybe it's fine. I don't know. But in the end, I ended up not calculating all that, and I thought that everything there didn't really deserve calculation, so I ended up just playing something normal. I play bishop e2. I mean, what can really be wrong about bishop e2? It's just simply developing. I'm going to castle. The position's very symmetrical, but I have a queen on b5 and he has a queen on b6. And my opponent thinks here for a while, again, castles. And now I thought it was the perfect time to take on c5, because over here I forgot to mention that the move c5, I first of all just thought this was a blunder. I thought c5 just like was a big blunder. This move was a blunder because after dc5 here, I thought I had like knight a4 or something, but I don't. I don't have knight a4 because he has this check here, and that I saw this during the game. That's why I didn't take. But after I played the move bishop e2 and castles, I thought now was a better time to play dc5, which is what I played. And after bishop c5, I was just gonna castle. I might have even taken here. I don't know. I might have taken here. I'm not sure. Maybe I would. And like after here, knight d5, I give him an IQP, and then I'd castle. I'd probably do something like this. But my opponent shocks me with another move here. My opponent plays a move that I didn't think was possible. He takes with the queen, and I was only calculating bishop takes because it was the most natural, and I just didn't see this. But queen takes c5 is actually a very good move, because what he does is if I take on b7, I pretty much lose. Like he has this very nice move rook fb8, and I can take, but then like I'm pretty much dead here. I don't have anything. Queen a6, like knight b4. He gets a massive attack here. If I castle, like I'm losing here because he's also attacking my queen. And like let's say knight b4 and I play like queen a4 or something. Then knight c2 check anyway because the bishop defense. Like everything about his position opens up if I take on b7. And it's much too dangerous to even calculate. Like I didn't even think about taking on b7 because that's crazy. I mean, who would do that? Who would take on b7 there? No one. No one in their right mind would take on b7. So I of course didn't take on b7. I thought for a while. I castled after like a couple minutes. Now my opponent played knight h5 and he sacked a pawn. And this is very interesting. He sacked the pawn here. the pawn that he sacked is the d5 pawn, of course, because after takes, I mean, he doesn't really have defender, like queen takes, bishop takes, knight takes. I'm just better. And his idea was clear. He wanted to take my bishop and get the bishop pair for maybe a better endgame. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, he has the bishop pair, I have doubled pawns. He should have compensation. It should be, like, equal. But I thought that, okay, well, he's giving me a pawn, right? I should take the pawn. So first I take the queen, bishop takes, and then I take on d5. My opponent takes on f4, and I think for a while, and at the end of the day, I just took back the knight, which is the wrong move. The best move is to take here, and what happens, what ends up resulting, is that 1, I don't get double pawns, and 2, if he recaptures here, I mean, 1, I'm just going to win the pawn back, but I mean, like, here I'm not up a pawn, but I'm just going to win the pawn back here. He's got to move his bishop here, and now this position is better for me, because what happens is I have 2 knights that can jump in over here. The position's not as open as he wants it to be. I don't have these awkward doubled f pawns. I have a 2-on-1 over here. I have the files. I'm first to the files, and I just should be better. Maybe I don't even take immediately. Maybe I play like knight e4 or something and go after his bishop instead. Like if he goes here, I'll just take his bishop, and this should just be much better for me. Yeah, that'd be nice. But that would just be a better way of getting to it. But instead, I just took on f4, which is a mistake. He takes here, I take, and he plays this move rook d8 pretty quickly. I think here, but I mean, the move was obvious. I gotta keep my knight in the center. I played rook fd1. The reason I actually took some time here, I was calculating which rook would be better placed on d1, and I ended up going with the f rook. The reason why is because I thought the a rook was better placed on maybe the c file in some lines, and I really like that the bishop gets the f1 square after I move the f rook. So that's why I played rook fd1. My opponent goes rook e8 and already makes an inaccuracy, and it's back to plus 0.5. And the reason being is because I have a very nice move here. I thought that, okay, well, I have nothing else better than like bishop f1 or like up here. I thought bishop f1 might have been a mistake even, because he has this move bishop e4, and that looks pretty bad. I don't want to allow bishop e4, but the move that I missed here, the move is king f1, and I'd be much better here. This is borderline winning. He doesn't have this move bishop e4 now, because after knight c3, if takes, I mean, I just take back with the bishop. I'm completely fine, and he has nothing. Now that would be great if I saw that, but I ended up playing something pretty decent instead. I ended up playing knight c3 after not thinking too long. Knight c3 is very, very reasonable, just coming back, defending the bishop, and now I don't have a knight pinned to my rook in some lines. So my opponent goes knight d4, no brainer. I have to take, bishop takes, and I go for this move bishop b5, which I thought was very reasonable. And now he has a decision to make, and I thought that the only move here, the only two moves, I thought they had to play either rook f8 or rook e6. And the reason why he can't play like rook e7, for example, is because I thought that after the move knight e2, I'd be putting like too much pressure on this bishop, and he'd be in some trouble. Like knight e2, you have to go bishop b6, and I'm not sure about this position. Like, I get the file. This doesn't look too happy for him. I guess bishop b6, and he's fine. But I don't know. I thought this was better for me. So I thought that he had to play the rook e6 or rook f8. He ended up playing rook e6, which I thought was reasonable because his idea is obvious. He wants to go rook e d6, and he's going to defend his bishop like that after the move knight e2, which I played pretty quickly. He's obviously going to go rook d, and that's not the move. That is just not it. The move bishop f6, I thought was just a mistake immediately, just because of the simple line here, knight d4. And if I can get the bishop off, if I can get rid of his bishop pair, I'm just up a pawn, and there's like nothing he can do. Like if here, I actually have a very nice intermezzo move. I have the move rook e1, and he's just lost. he's just completely lost here. But he doesn't play that. He plays the move that I thought he would play. He plays the best move. He plays rook b6, which was his idea. But now the only move that actually keeps me advantage here, actually knight f5 also keeps the advantage just a little bit, but not as well. The only idea that actually works for me here is the move rook e1, and I'm exploiting the fact that his back rank is really weak. I thought here he was gonna play like g6, but g6 actually loses to the simple rook e8, and I'm gonna pick up the bishop. I thought he was gonna play g6. He ends up playing the best move. He ends up playing very simple. He plays bishop e6, but I also thought this just lost to f5, and now I'm just winning, right? Like f5, I'm completely winning. I'm gonna pick up a piece, right? Because the bishop is pinned to checkmate. I mean, I'm gonna win. And I felt like a real like rush of like dopamine here. I was like, oh yeah, oh this guy's dead. Okay, he's dead in the water, right? And I was like, okay, I'm very happy with this. I'm gonna win my first game, and I'm probably gonna do well in the tournament afterwards. But my opponent has a very nice move here that keeps the game going. He has the move bishop f6, which is very nice. Bishop f6 targets the knight, right? And the line continues here. The game's I still keep an advantage, but the only way to keep an advantage is rook e4, which is hard to see after bishop d4 here. I'm threatening mate again. F8 here, rook b5. I'm not there, but I mean, like, I'm just winning. I can take here maybe. It's a tough position to play. That was a really good line. I also thought that he might try to play like this move rook b5 instead, but rook b5, like, I mean, I just pick up the exchange and I'm fine. There were some other moves that I considered. I forget all of them, but either way, basically everything is losing except for bishop f6, and my opponent didn't find it. He played this move rook d6 in a decent amount of time, but this loses. This loses. This completely is losing, because after the simple move knight f3, I'm fine. I'm completely winning. I also have fe6, which is a very nice move. Basically, after rook d4, I have this move e7, and he has to sack the bishop here. And this is actually even better than the other line, because if rook d1, I have always this move bishop f1, and I keep everything on the board. I have more pressure there. I should have played that. Knight f3 just keeps all the pressure going. I mean, I'm still threatening to attack his bishop. His bishop isn't going anywhere. So I thought this was very reasonable, knight f3. Now, he played the move g6. I takes. He takes on e6. And I have a very nice tactic to end it off. I have this move rook e6. Always a nice way to end off something. But yeah, I have takes. I have this move. And you might say, oh, but I mean, he's just equal endgame, right? Yeah, and I don't have knight g5, right? Because the bishop defense. Oh, wow. But knight d4, and I'm just picking up the rook. And I'm just completely winning. That would be nice to end off the game. But he doesn't want to trade rooks. He goes rook d1. I go back to e1. Now, rook d6. I probably instead of rook e1, I should have played bishop f1. Rook e1 is the top engine line, but I thought bishop f1 probably makes more sense. Because here, he has to defend his bishop. I might be able to get into the 7th rank easier, and I thought bishop f1 is probably superior. Either way, rook e1. My opponent draws d6. I play this move g3, start bringing my king. And I'm just making luft for my king. I don't want to ever get checkmated. Bishop up, b3. My opponent plays a6. He plays this game for a while, actually. I decide to, instead of going to bishop f1 first, I decide to induce the move b5. So I play bishop c4. He does play b5. I go back to f1. I also had this move rook e6. But I didn't like this as much, because I thought he could just move his rook to like d1 or something. No, but either way, I didn't like that as much. I just played bishop f1. My opponent goes g5. I go a4. My opponent goes g4. I go knight g1. Very reasonable move. Just trying to play h3 and break open a structure. Takes. a5. I go here, attacking the pawn. h4. h5, I go h3. Takes. Knight takes. Up. I go bishop e2. H4, I take the pawn. My opponent goes bishop d4. And, like, I mean, this is very simple stuff. I don't really need to go over this, but the game actually lasts for, like, a lot longer. So I want to show the whole game. It's easy, though. I just kick the king out. I start pushing my pawn. I take the bishop. He decides not to take for some reason. I guess he wants to stalemate or something, but there's no stalemate. I just pick up a5. I switch my guns over to the a pawn. I give him a check. Queen takes, and here he resigns. But yeah, so actually this game was a little wild. I played this game at 95.4, I believe, prior to it getting easy, prior to like G5. Played it at 95.4. Which is pretty good. That's a pretty good level. I'm happy with that. This is a great start to the tournament, so I'll see you next time for round 2. I think I might do round 2 and 3 at the same time, maybe not, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys found this instructive. I hope you guys found this entertaining. All the above. Yeah, good evening and good night.